Welcome to the Oshner Andrew Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio here at the Superdome, where we just got done watching the Saints get smoked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to break down that whole entire game on this episode of NewOrleans.Football, presented by PJ's Coffee. And even though the Saints are a disappointment, Matt Bauer's car dealerships never are. So if you're in the market for a new car, make sure you go check him out at one of his many locations. He'll get you the best prices, the best customer care, the best car buying experience you'll ever have, and he will give you exactly what you expect, unlike the Saints, I think, maybe did a little bit today. We're going to break down the whole entire game. It was a tough one. There's a lot to autopsy here. It's probably going to be pretty depressing, maybe kind of like watching the Terrifier, but that's what we got to do because that's what was put on the field. So we're going to analyze all of that right after this quick word from our sponsors. Oshner Hospital for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine on Clearview Parkway is celebrating 5 years of exceptional achievements. The hospital's integrated team has successfully performed over 20,000 surgeries using the latest in cutting-edge technology. With nationally recognized services and impactful partnerships, they continue to lead the advancement of orthopedic and sports medicine care in our region.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering urban smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com. All right, let's get into the show. Welcome back to the Oshner Andrew Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio. We are here at the Superdome to break down the Bucs game. I'm Nick Underhill. He's Mike Triplett. This is NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. Right at the very top, what went wrong?
We spent an entire week talking about how the offense could hold up in this matchup. 3 offensive line missing. Lucas Patrick doesn't play. 2 plays into the game, Chris Olave doesn't play. Spencer Rattler makes his NFL debut as a rookie because Derek Carr is out. And that had nothing to do with what went wrong today. The offense was pretty much as expected. The defense, which as I wrote, they were counting on more than ever under those circumstances, gave their worst performance in Dennis Allen's tenure, sure. But we're talking Steve Spagnuolo, Rob Ryan, Gary Gibbs, like that. They're all candidates. Like almost 600 yards of offense, 51 points, missed tackles on top of missed tackles. When the team had chances to win, when the team was leading, just stunning, staggering. Like it wasn't just a bad game. It was a what are we even like talking about the rest of the season for if the defense that they're supposed to be able to count on is going to come out and do that?
Yeah, I thought I counted 14 missed tackles. It's probably more like 20, though.
Was that on one play? Or
no, I kind of went back through and looked. There was 5 on one play, but I counted 14. And there's probably more. I think there was like 8 on 2. There's probably more in the game, though. I'm sure I didn't find all of them immediately after just kind of doing a quick look over everything. But, yeah, I think a ton of stuff went wrong. And this is, of course, the opening topic presented by Shea Bear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. If you have any insurance needs, make sure you go and check them out. They've been a good part of the community for a long time, and they will get you the right coverage that you need. But, yeah, I thought every single thing defensively went wrong for the Saints. And I think the most troubling thing for the Saints this season for me is that their losses have been due to their defense. The games that you're looking at that they lost, I think almost every single time. Now, last week the offense was kind of putrid in and of itself. So I'll put the Chiefs game aside, but I felt like they lost the Atlanta game because of the defense. I felt like they lost the Philly game because of the defense, and they definitely lost today because of their defense. And this was a day where they had to step up. You had to do something to protect your young rookie quarterback, and you didn't. You needed to put him in circumstances where he could succeed. Instead, you created a situation where he had to pass 40 freaking times. Like, Spencer Rattler having to chase 51 points and throw 40 times, like, you're not going to win like that. That's just not a winning formula for football. You needed to put him in a situation where he could throw like 23, 25 times, not have to chase a lead like that, and then maybe that gives you a chance to win it. But this was the opposite of it. You couldn't tackle. I thought their linebackers played really poorly across the board. That was a major weakness. You let them. What'd they finish with? It was under 8 yards per carry, right? It was right at that. Yards per carry, 7.9. The only reason it fell below 8 is because their last run was a 5-yard touchdown. They couldn't get 8 yards on it.
They couldn't get 8.
But if they could have got 8 yards on it, they would have averaged 8 yards a carry in this game. So it was just kind of.
That was without their leading rusher too. This was Irving and Tucker.
Don't know who Sean Tucker is. I do now.
Yeah.
Did you?
I'd never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
You say
he averaged 9.7 yards per carry.
You say the defense lost the Philadelphia and Atlanta game. Philadelphia game was 15-12. The Atlanta game, they didn't actually allow a defensive touchdown. They allowed 6 defensive touchdowns.
Yeah, but when
today.
they had to make a play,
6.
they didn't, though, in those games.
Okay, but they didn't make a play at any point in this game. I mean, that's not true. They had 3 interceptions. Really, it was over the last 20 minutes. Saints were leading with 20 minutes to go, and they lost 51-27. They were leading with 20 minutes to go. And they just – I mean, it just got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse. And, I mean, this was new levels. This wasn't, the defense was a disappointment. This is like the second most yards the Saints have ever given up, and they wore paper bags on their heads for 30 years. It was unbelievable that is the unit you're supposed to be able to count on. I mean, we said – try to make this a 19-16 game and not ask Spencer Rattler to have to do too much. It's just staggering to me, and I mean, it makes you like I kept thinking we were covering a team that when they get a little healthier, when the schedule gets a little easier, maybe they can make a run. But that's because I thought they had like a top 10, top 12 defense. This was like worst in the league defense kind of stuff.
Yeah, I thought their defense was going to eventually be good. I thought the red zone stuff was okay. I kind of thought those couple hiccups were aberrations and they get leveled out. But, no, their thing is kind of to miss tackles and make bad plays and give up explosives. That's just kind of become what they are to this point in the season. Doesn't mean they're going to stay that, but to this point of the season, like, that's who they are. Like, the guys crashing together, that's not just a weird thing. Like, that's a thing that happened again today.
Yep.
Like, you had it play out again. You got guys missing tackles on explosives. That isn't just something that happened one time. That's something that happens repeatedly. It's kind of a crazy thing. And
not being able to take the quarterback down when you've got your arms around him.
Yeah. I'll give you that. This loss is a little bit different on the defense, but I think just kind of like on a global scale, though, this is a team that you're supposed to be able to rely on the defense. Like when you need to make a play, they should be the ones making the play, and you should kind of be chasing moments on offense. Like the offense isn't supposed to be the strength of the team. They're supposed to kind of be along for the ride. And it's just kind of when you've needed the defense, they haven't been there. And I thought today's crazy. I've never 51 points is like it. And it felt
594
helpless.
yards. 594.
Not good.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, really bad overall. I don't know what other big takeaways I got from this game other than it was a letdown in a way that I just don't. I didn't see it coming. Marshawn had another good game. I think he only gave up one catch for 8 yards. I would say everybody else on the defense.
Yeah, Mike Evans
again
bad. Only had 2 for 34, and neither one of them was against Marshawn.
And I hated the plan at first against Mike Evans because you saw him get a catch on Adebo right away. You saw him get a catch on Jonathan Abram. It was like, what are they doing? And it was fine. Like, it was fine. They had a decent plan for him overall. Chris Godwin kind of got him all over the place for 125 yards, but I don't know. This feels like a really low point in the season. It feels
really
kind of worse than I think it has at any point over the last 3 years for me. Kind of watching it, the feeling I had was the beginning of that Lions game where I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening? This is a total disaster." They came back in that game. This one kind of played out the opposite. Like it kind of gave you a little bit of hope in the second quarter, and then it just felt like I don't know. I've just never really seen this defense get kicked in the teeth like that, and it was stunning to see, and it almost felt like, and everybody in the locker room saying it wasn't the case, but it almost felt like by the end of the game they were just kind of ready for it to be over with.
Yeah, I asked a couple different guys a couple different ways. Look, of course, everyone that got asked about effort said it's not effort, and I thought I used Jonathan Abram actually. He's really introspective and had a couple good quotes on it. And he said, no, I'm not questioning anyone's effort. He goes, we don't just do this for fun. We do this for a living. There's no one that's not out there and trying hard. But then when I said, well, what about, and I go, maybe this is unfair too. And I go, what about the concept of having your spirit broken when something like that happens? He goes, I understand what you're asking, like that snowball effect. He's like, yeah, you can probably see that play out. And he said part of the thing that leads to that is not being able to get off the field. He's like, he goes, even on the first drive, like when you're supposed to get them on third down and then that play lasts 10 plays longer, they were on the field for 40 minutes Monday night. They were on the field for 34 minutes tonight. They just couldn't get off the field, and they're just out there just letting this happen to themselves, really. So it's a lot of time to be out there not getting off the field. And so I think we did see them get broken a little bit.
To be fair to the defense a little bit, like Will Harris goes on IR, you're down to safety. Tyrann Mathieu gets hurt, had a forearm injury. Heard that's not supposed to be serious. He's getting an MRI to make sure there's nothing fractured in it, but the belief is just kind of a contusion, and it like stunned his nerve a little bit. But he got the strength and movement back in it, and isn't expected to miss Thursday's game. But we'll see how that goes. Pete Werner's not out there. He's one of their better tackling players, so like maybe he makes a little bit of a difference. But it felt greater than injuries to me. It didn't feel like an injury.
That feels like an ordinary amount of NFL injuries. It felt offense is an avalanche. That's what most teams are dealing with.
Last week it kind of felt like they came out and were kind of chasing their tail a little bit. This week it felt like they came out and they were chasing their tail a little bit. It's kind of weird to see that. Like they locked in eventually on defense until they completely lost it and fell apart in a way that we've never seen before. But coming out of the gate 2 weeks in a row, it kind of just felt a little bit weird. I don't know that you can play like this right now. I don't know that it's an okay thing to be playing like this right now.
Not when you're absolutely counted. I mean, it was amazing how this game played out. They're down 17-0 right away. Chris Olave gets concussed. He's getting hit while he fumbles. And Tampa Bay returns a fumble for a touchdown. You're like, oh, it's the last thing you needed. Well, first the defense gave up a long touchdown drive. Then that happened at 17-0. But they came back. They had the Rashid Shaheed punt return. They did make some plays on defense. They took leads of 20-17 and 27-24, and it was and they were leading at halftime and getting the ball first in the second half, and it felt like they survived it. And the defense just had to come out and be good for 2 quarters and set the tone. And instead, they let Tampa Bay come back and win this game. It was unbelievable. Now, the offense wasn't good enough either. And we're not giving the free pass to the offense. They couldn't run the ball at all. Eventually, Spencer Rattler got exposed a little bit. They were pressuring him. His rollouts weren't working, and he was throwing it away or getting sacked. I get that. But that's what we expected. When you got 27 in the first half, they should have been able to tell Spencer that's enough. You've done enough.
Yep.
We've
agree.
got it from here on out.
Shifting gears just a little bit to our next topic, presented by Urban South. And if you need a place to watch the game Thursday night, make sure you go down there and check it out. You might need a drink or two to get through that one. Is Thursday night Denver Bronco comes to town? Is that? I think this is obvious. I feel like it is a must-win. Is it the most critical game of this tenure? I would go yeah on it.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like must win sometimes implies that if you win that, there's something waiting at the other end of the tunnel. I think if they win that game, they feel like a 6-win team, and that's one of the 6. Like, I really, like, I hate to overreact to one game, but I have been working partly because of how good they looked in the first 2 games under this premise that if they can get past this barrage of injuries and tough schedule and short weeks, that we looked at the schedule and, the rest of the schedule, if they could just stay in it at 3-4 or 4-3, they can be so much better in the second half. Yeah, okay, maybe they find a way to beat Denver, but the problems have gone beyond like a must-win game that can reset anything right now for me.
To me, though, I think if they lose Thursday night, there's a real chance of not getting it back on track.
Yeah.
I think it is a must-win. I don't think you can lose 5 games in a row. I don't think you can lose to Sean Payton. I don't think you can just have all this go and everybody is still there waiting and eager. I think like any workplace when things are going bad, if you're doing your quarterly report and the company's losing all kinds of money and you have 5 of those in a row, like people are going to start approaching their job a little bit differently. And I'm not saying it's like wholesale across the board, but I think you start losing the interest of people at a certain point. And I think you still exist in a place where it's like, okay, you win one and you're 3-4, and maybe it's okay, and maybe you get some guys back, and maybe you get on the other side of the 10-day thing. Just don't let it flood. And I think that's kind of where it still exists right now. But I think if you lose another one, and then you go on this like 10-day break between games, and you give people time to sit back and think about it.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
I'm a little bit terrified about what happens if they lose this game, and I think if he comes in here and he beats them, it's going to be really, really loud. And now you got people that got time to sit down and watch TV, and they got time to hear the noise, and they got time to watch football, and they got time to hear them talk about it on the pregame shows. I think it's a critical, dangerous situation. I think they have to figure it out by Thursday
You're right.
night.
I mean, everything you just said is right, and I'm looking at their schedule right now. 10 days, they go out to Los Angeles, at Carolina, and, versus Atlanta, versus Cleveland, and versus the Rams, at the Giants. I'm already thinking, like, there are wins to be had on the schedule, but there's not hope to be had if you don't hurry up and win a game.
I don't disagree with your take, though, either. I don't think if you win it, there's a prize on the other side. I think
But you got to keep a glimmer of hope alive.
Yeah, I think it's very possible that this could be bleak all year long. Yeah. It could be 6 games. It could be, I don't know. Like, there is this, like, weird little schedule on the backside, and I think anybody that's fed up with how things are, like, you should probably be in fear of how, like, if you don't want it to get better, like, there is a lot of ways for it to get better in the back half with guys getting healthy in the schedule, seemingly being kind of soft, but you got to get there, and I think you got to keep it alive for them to have a chance to do that. So I think Thursday's an incredibly critical game. If Sean beats them, I think
it's critical to Dennis Allen. I mean, even more than the team itself, that matchup versus Sean is nothing puts the coaches' faces on the screen more than that matchup.
I think it's critical to everyone. Yeah. I think it is. I really do. I think they have to find a way to do it. Like, that's a nightmare scenario. 2-5, that dude, like, you can't let it happen. You cannot let it happen. And now you got a 4-day, what is it, 4 days until Thursday, is that right? Mm-hmm. 4 days? Chris Olave is in concussion protocol. I
think I saw that Patrick Surtain is too, which
he, maybe he makes his way out, but it seems like that's a very short amount of time. He's been concussed, I think, 3 times now in the NFL. Who knows what before that?
Yep.
Saw him in the locker room walking through, so, I mean, at least that's okay. Like, in terms of is it a huge thing? Like, at least seeing him kind of makes it a little bit just like on a bigger than Thursday night level. Like, okay, good. Because the last one he got was scary. That was the one in the end zone, right, where he kind of got knocked out cold. Was that the last one?
And didn't he end up playing the very next week?
He might have.
Yeah, which was a little surprising. But, yeah, I did go back and look at it today. He's had 1 each year now. Never 2 in a season, but 1 each.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that happen to somebody. So I was glad to see him kind of in the locker room. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Thursday's kind of a huge game.
I cannot disagree.
For them. Moving on to our next one, presented by Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. Spencer Rattler came out. I thought he played okay. There's some stuff to be desired. Completed 24 or 36 passes for 325. Or I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong line. 22 of 40 passes for 243 yards.
If he had thrown for 325 and 4 touchdowns, you think people would be a little more excited?
Well, 3 picks on there too. Baker didn't have a great game, but he did what he had to do. 22 of 40 for 243, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Quarterback rating of 60.7. What was kind of your big takeaway from his day?
I think he was he gets the grade of sort of exactly met expectations for me, for better and for worse. It did not look too big for him, exactly as we had written and they had said about him all week. He looks smooth. He looks comfortable. He looked like he had a plan. I love the rollouts, reset in the pocket, which we said. I love the scrambles. He also ran 4 times for 27 yards. Made some really good throws, made some really good third down throws, made a nice touchdown throw to Bub Means. Would have had an even better day if Olave didn't fumble after he got drilled after that catch. There was a penalty on one of his best throws. Bub Means dropped one of his best throws. But then there was things he couldn't overcome, like the pressure against this offensive line. He started taking a lot of sacks. The being down on the scoreboard, he started throwing some bad interceptions. The having to get in shotgun and just throw on every down instead of getting to run a balanced offense, he couldn't overcome that. So overall, it was kind of the good and the bad that I expected.
I thought he looked pretty good. First half, I thought the first half was great. I was like, oh my God, he's gonna take the job. He's never gonna look back. He's won this. I would say, coming into the game, like we knew that not having Lucas Patrick and Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz was going to be a huge deal. Then you tell me Chris Olave gets injured on the first drive, and I would have said he's done. There's no chance to succeed. Then you tell me he's got to throw 40 times, and I would have said, oh, they gave up 50 points. If you told me all those things, I would have been like, oh, they lost by 50. I think he was set up in the absolute. He was already going on a dummy mission.
And I have to tell you that they were getting about 2 yards of carry from their running backs too.
Yeah, that too. Alvin runs 13 times for 40 yards, 3.1. I mean, they ended up averaging 3.9 as a team.
A lot of that is Rattler.
Spencer
a lot of
got
that is
it.
Rattler,
Yeah. So if you tell me all those things, absolute disaster. We said all week he's walking into a dummy mission. I don't really know how he's going to succeed. And damn it, if he didn't for a half make you forget that all this stuff existed. The most remarkable thing to me is that he found a way to overcome all of it and make you feel like it wasn't an issue. Like at halftime, I wasn't thinking, wow, they can't block for him. Wow, they aren't able to run the ball. Wow, he's throwing all his passes to Bub Means. Wow, Cedric Wilson's out there, and he hasn't made a play since training camp. I wasn't thinking any of that. It was like he's doing this. He's succeeding. And then they get into the second half. Bub drops that pass. Next series is a 3-and-out. Then they get the third down again. He hits a beautiful seam to Juwan for 20-some yards. Comes back for an illegal shift, which is a penalty they have every single week. Yeah. And then by that point, Tampa's scoring. They're getting the lead. They're coming back, and now they're blitzing every single down because you know that they aren't going to be able to hand the ball off, and he's got to throw him back into it. And the offensive line can't handle that, and the game's over. So, I mean, yeah, some of the stuff in the second half I don't think was the greatest. I think there's a couple plays. There was a rollout where Shaheed was, wide open on it. There was a pass where he took a sack where I think I saw Juwan open over the middle. There was one where he missed Cedric Wilson. That's rookie stuff. You aren't going to meet every single read. But I thought most of all, I saw more good than bad. I feel like the pick, the first one, dude kind of made a great play. He goes up, he snags it out. I think the throw should have been probably a little bit more toward the sideline, but he almost fit it in there. I'm not super mad at that. The second one, not seeing the safety undercut it, and he's running across the field, and he kind of read it. That was a rough moment. But I thought overall, I'm kind of intrigued, and I want to keep seeing him play like I do, and really leaving it. I'm more thinking, I wonder what he could have done with better support, because I saw a lot of good stuff in that game. The rollouts did stop working at a certain point. You're gonna have that. I mean, they're trying to cheat their inefficiencies on the offensive line, and when they're just kind of teeing off on you a little bit, that's gonna happen. But I thought he just wasn't supported well enough. But I was mostly
encouraged.
Yeah, mostly encouraged. Yeah. I don't know where it's gonna go from here, but I'm not walking away from it. I'm thinking, wow, there might be something there. And when he had time, he looked pretty good.
No matter who's playing quarterback 3 weeks from now, whether it's Derek Carr or Spencer Rattler, just let me see this offense again with some offensive linemen healthy and some receivers healthy, please. I'm really curious to see Spencer Rattler in it. I'm curious to see Clint Kubiak return. Like, this sucked. Watching, yeah, like you say, everything kind of go away. Like not being able to run, being down on the scoreboard in the second half, because things were entertaining to watch in that first
I don't
half.
like, honest to God, and I mean, I'm not saying this like snidely or anything. I'm not sure Derek Carr has a better game in these circumstances.
No, I don't think so either.
at
And he
all.
didn't in
I
Kansas
don't
City
think so
last
at all.
week. Yeah.
One of the things I really liked about this is you kind of saw a quarterback attacking the field a little bit differently, and like all of a sudden Jawan Johnson's making plays and Foster Moreau's making plays, and the seams are open. That must just be kind of how he likes to attack the field a little bit more. So it was kind of interesting to see that stuff open up a little bit. He almost hit a deep ball to Shaheed, and that's just one of them things where it's like, well, they only had one real practice this week. They had the walkthrough on Wednesday. They had regular practice on Thursday, Friday's red zone. So there's probably only been like one day where he's throwing the ball to Shaheed, and I think he just didn't really know what his speed was. But like, I feel like if he goes back to that, he probably hits it. So there's some things that I think will get a little bit better. But on the other hand, the team's now going to be able to see how he operated in an NFL game, make adjustments, attack him, and kind of see how that goes. So there's a lot that has to come out in the wash. But I liked a lot of the stuff we saw. I thought he overcame a lot of the things, some things that could have been a little bit better. A couple of moments where you remembered he was a rookie, but he did some good things in his NFL debut.
I agree.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Score big with Saints Score. Win up to $100,000. Enter the second chance drawings for cool Saints prize packages. Play Saints Score scratch-offs from the lottery.
All right, guys, it's the best time of year. Football's back. We're talking NFL Sundays, college football Saturdays, and the glorious grind of fantasy football lineups. This is where your inner GM comes alive. Setting the perfect fantasy roster, screaming at your TV, and making last-minute waiver moves that either make you a hero or the guy everyone ridicules in the group chat. But listen, while you're over here making sure your fantasy team is dialed in, don't let your personal grooming become the guy that gets left on the bench. Let's be honest, nobody wants to fumble their grooming routine. That's where Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra comes in, acting as your all-in-one grooming playbook. From keeping things sharp down below with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra to taking care of those rogue nose and ear hairs with the Weed Whacker 2.0. This is the lineup that'll keep you looking and feeling like a champ on and off the field. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by heading over to manscaped.com. Use the code New Orleans, that's one word, for 20% off and free shipping. Trust me, you'll be drafting the real MVP of grooming this season.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Here at the Queen Casino, indulgence knows no bounds. Prepare your taste buds for an extraordinary culinary journey. Start your day at Capital Coffee. Craving something different? 3 Woks Noodle Bar offers a tantalizing selection of Asian delights. At 1717 Kitchen and Cocktails, savor American cuisine with a twist. Or ascend to the loft for an elevated experience. Enjoy artesian grazing boards and exquisite craft cocktails. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
All right, welcome back to the Ochsner Andrew Sports Medicine Podcast Institute here at the Superdome for another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. If you are in the market for a new car, make sure you check out my guy Matt Bowers at one of his many locations all throughout the region. They got the best cars, and they will get you the best prices on whatever vehicle you're looking for. All right, it's time now for the hard-hide player of the game. I think there's really only one choice. I'm going Rashid Shaheed.
I mean,
yeah.
Who's second? Shaheed. Well, look, Shaheed returned the punt for a touchdown, which was the exact opposite of what we said about the defense. You knew the defense had to come through because the offense had 2 hands tied behind its back today. Shaheed came through in that situation. He provided the offense on a punt return. It's what he does best. It sort of makes up for the gaffe he had in Atlanta. Although it'd be nice to have that win in the bank. If you were able to take away this touchdown and take away that punt.
I got another candidate.
We're
sticking with Shaheed. Shaheed is the hard-hide player of the game. You could go Matthew Haybaugh.
Okay.
He punted pretty good today.
Okay.
He did. He had. What do you have? He had 3 inside the 20. He had 158 yards. Like he had a pretty decent day punting the ball today.
By far his best too.
Maybe the best punting day we've
Most
seen.
improved
seen
player
in 2
on the
years.
team today.
Yeah. Really had a decent day today. But yeah, definitely Shaheed on this one. That was a great return. Nice reminder. Kind of what he can do on those plays. One of the best of what he does. I'm trying to think really like who would be option B.
We have a 3 up and a 3 down coming.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the 3 up.
That's coming right now.
Yeah. We're moving on to that right now. That is presented.
What's left
by Aaron Rose. Another place if you need to go get a drink, make sure you go there. Might need to drink through some of these Sundays, no doubt about it. All right. So 3 up. I don't really know where to go with 3 up.
I've got one for you.
All right. Go ahead. I'll let you start.
Bud Means, welcome to the NFL.
There you go. Yeah,
he dropped that pass that would have been huge. It wasn't perfect. But Chris Olave goes out on the second offensive play of the day. And Rattler, discover, how many times have we said they need other guys besides Olave, Shaheed, Kamara, and Taysom Hill? And Bud Means gets 8 targets, 5 catches for 45 yards, a touchdown. He did catch another third down that he held on to, I think. Cedric Wilson and Mason Tipton haven't done that. A.T. Perry is in Denver now. Bud Means is the first non-Olave and Shaheed receiver to do anything all season.
I'm gonna do a 1-2 punch here, and I'm gonna because I don't feel like either one had like great numbers or anything, but I just mentioned it. I think both tight ends.
Yeah,
I
agree.
think they both showed up pretty good today. It does make you wonder, like. Maybe if with the different quarterback and different styles and where people like to throw the ball, like maybe I don't know if today was a Juwan thing, but if he has another good game, like maybe some of the lack of production offensively is just due to the style of how the quarterback attacks the field. Like that can happen sometimes. So I'm interested to see kind of how that continues to go forward. But both those guys had good games today. They got open, they made plays, and they took advantage of their opportunity.
I'm trying to find the distance on Juwan's pass that was called back by the shift penalty, and I'm not going to fight it because he finished with 3 for 48. So let's just say it was 24. If he had, here it is, 30 yards. So 3 for 48 would have been 4 for 78.
Yeah, would have been a great game for him.
That would have been an eye-opening day for Juwan Johnson, and Foster had 2 for over 50 yards. So absolutely on that one. I will not put any defensive players in my up, but I will give credit to the players who made the plays that felt like game-changing plays at the time. The interceptions were Paulson Adebo, who had another PI penalty today. Jonathan Abram, who missed at least 3 tackles on plays that I went back and looked at, and let a tight end get open for a touchdown, so he wasn't perfect. And Cam Jordan on the pass, bad at the line of scrimmage for Brian Brzee. So those 3 turnovers were huge in the moment. In the second quarter, they did not sustain it, though.
I don't really have anywhere else to go with this. I thought the tackles played okay today. I thought Penning played pretty decently. I didn't see him really give anything up. I'm not necessarily sure if I feel comfortable stamping that yet until we get a look at it, but I suspect that he's somebody that probably had a pretty good game overall.
Lattimore had a good game, probably.
He missed some run tackles. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to put anyone in there because we're going to probably find some egregious stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm scared of all of them.
Yeah.
I'm scared of every single one of them because you don't get that kind of run and you don't have that kind of explosive plays without everybody kind of screwing up. But his coverage looked good. So his coverage probably looked pretty good. I'm not sure if I can get to a third one, man. Like I'll throw let's say Hayball.
Yep,
Let's throw Hayball on there. I'll piggyback on Bub Means. I thought he played a pretty good game. But I'm extremely uncomfortable saying anybody on defense had a good game.
Yeah, totally fair. 3 down is even harder because we can only pick 3. I'm not going to single out Alontae Taylor. I thought he had the worst missed tackle of any of the individual missed tackles I saw. No, DeMarco Jackson actually had the worst one, where I think it was like a 30-yard run. Late in the game would have been a 1-yard run if he had hit his tackle and he got him square. I didn't like the way Adebo and Taylor approached the tackle on Chris Godwin on his 55-yard touchdown. I went back and I started looking at all the longest plays and the most damaging plays, and then unfortunately I had Abram on 3 of them. He was filling in for Tyrann Mathieu. He did have an interception. I mean, who didn't? I mean, the pass rush, Chase Young had a tackle for loss today. Granderson let a guy go twice, I think, that he had Baker Mayfield sacked on. I mean, it's just egregious across the board. They all took Anthony Orji came into the game and he missed a tackle. Like, who's not on this list?
I'll start out with the 4-pack.
Okay.
I'm going to just all of them, every single one. DeMarco, Orji, Willie Gay, Demario Davis. I'm putting them all on my down. Like, I thought they all missed tackles. I thought they all had poor run defense.
It's like when the Dome Patrol all got in the Pro Bowl in the same year.
Yeah, and I mean, look, obviously, like, Demario's like the best player on the team, but I just don't think that you get to a point where you're allowing a running back to average 9 yards per carry if the linebackers aren't doing something. And all of them were isolated moments. Like, we've seen things from each one of them that weren't good. So I'm going to say each and every one of them. Then I'm going to throw, like, Colin Saunders in there because you're in the middle of the line. Nate Shepard actually made a couple plays. Ridgeway actually made a couple plays. So I'm going to exonerate them a little because I can remember positive moments, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were bad too. But I'm going to go all them guys right there, and that's kind of my down list for that side of the ball.
It's staggering that, all right, Chris Godwin had that 55-yard touchdown catch. Baker Mayfield threw 4 touchdown passes. One of those big Sean Tucker plays was a 36-yard catch and run because they were missing tackles. That's all passing game. On top of all that, the Saints still gave up 277 rushing yards. 277, it is their most in 24 years. Like those bad games against Jalen Hurts that we talked about, Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders, back when all Jalen Hurts did was run, those were in the 240s. 277 rushing alone in this game. That is just egregious. The only offensive thing I'll say in this game is I can't single it out until we review the tape, but the run blocking was really, really bad. Not that we didn't expect that, but it went back to the days of if you run the ball on first down, it's 2nd and 10, and that just killed this team today.
Yeah, absolutely. Just absolutely terrible in that facet
and
of the
then
game.
we put coaches in down too. Dennis Allen. I mean, this is if 9-0 over Tom Brady was his signature win, this has the makings of a signature loss for him.
Just the missed tackles are stunning to me. The other thing that at some point we're gonna have to start having conversations about like the amount of injuries, and not in the sense of like making an excuse for the team. in the sense of, like, why are these happening at this rate? Like, where is the prevention? Like, it's beyond the point of, like, coincidence, bad luck, anything like that. Like, yeah, Alvin gets a hand injury. That's bone. That's a different side of it. But, like, all the soft tissue stuff, all the injuries, and then even coming to the game, like, it's just it's insane when you get to a point where it kind of feels like you're just watching all the backups, and it's like a weird mix of preseason games where, like, you know, you have those games where it's like, oh, these starters still needed to get reps, but these ones didn't, so they're out. Like, what is going on here? It's insane to me. At some point, something is wrong with what you're doing, your process, and I think it's starting to reach that point. And I don't know if you can change it in season or whatever, but I don't know what they got to do, but somebody somewhere has to demand different results, and you have to start getting different results somehow. Whatever you're doing, you have to change something up with it because it is not working right now. And it's cost game somewhere. It's somewhere along the line here. It's like cost something. I don't think this game specifically, but
yeah, I mean, what were today's injuries? It was a concussion for Olave, obviously unpreventable, and the forearm that you described with Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems that's a contusion.
So
I don't know.
Did they actually not have anyone leave with a hamstring or a groin or any other like of the ones that?
Yeah, but the list, man, coming in every single game. Like I'm not like there's no. Yeah. It's bad. It's bad. It's very bad.
And they haven't been able to overcome it. It sabotaged the season.
Yeah, it has. It really has. All right, moving on to the Martins question of the day. Martins, so much more than just wine. Rather than going after Davante Adams, should the Saints be sellers at the trade deadline? I don't see any point in going after Davante.
I think it's over.
Yeah, you'd have to win another game. You'd have to win this game
if they
Thursday
beat
night.
Denver, that's still probably not enough. I think they're 2 wins away from making that conversation anywhere worth realistic. I mean, this is a team that has to start protecting its resources for the future at all costs because, like I said, I mean, I feel like things will get better at some point this season, but has it already been lost? It's tough not to. You have to treat your assets as though it has, and then reassess if you win 3 out of 4 at some point.
Yeah, like if you were making like a switch to a young quarterback, like I was listening to something the other day. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about how they work to put like a more of a veteran structure in some areas.
I heard the same thing. It was Jaden Daniels with Eckler.
Yeah.
And who else did they add? They added Eckler and another they gave him Mariota as a backup at Ertz.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's wisdom to that, like putting some older guys around him. Like they gave Caleb some vets. Like I think
brought Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I think there's wisdom to that. They brought in Robert Woods in Houston last year for Stroud, just to make sure you always have a guy that's kind of doing things the right way. I don't know enough about Davante Adams to know. All I know is that he's kind of gotten himself traded twice now, if he does end up getting traded. So I don't know if he's, locker room wise, the right guy for that or the wrong guy. If he is the right guy, sure, it can make sense. You kind of retain him, you extend the contract, you keep him around, you have a younger guy or an older guy to kind of set the tone. The other sided benefit of that is, if you want to keep older people around and kind of make sure you have that structure and all that, like to get Davante Adams, you have to be able to afford his contract, which means you probably have to extend Alvin Kamara because that's the only way that you're going to have the money to be able to do that. So it would make sense if you want to keep some sort of structure around him and, maybe you extend Alvin a year. I don't know what it is, but maybe you do something like that, and that's how you roll forward. I don't know if you want the cupboards bare if you're moving to a younger quarterback. I don't think I'm going all in on the old roster, though, if it isn't Rattler. Like, I've reached a weird place now to where, like, I would – and it's almost counterintuitive, but if you want to bring in an older piece to kind of help your younger quarterback, I can be sold on that. But the idea of kind of building for this, like, I don't feel like this is going – like, if you're building for a playoff push, I don't see it right now.
I don't
and
either.
Maybe I'm just in too cynical of a place coming off this game and, they go win 2 games. They got a winning record. You're coming into the trade deadline and all of a sudden it's like, wow, they could win the South. Like the tune might change by then. Like this is an immediate reaction. But right now, sitting here today, if you're asking me, I don't currently see it.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. I mean, I guess your Rattler point makes sense if it's like, well, you didn't, even if you don't make the playoffs this year, you didn't lose everything if you've got, you don't want to have a bare cupboard around Rattler when you go to him next year. But that's not why you make that trade. It's not the number one reason why. So you have to show that you're a playoff contender before you make that move. And That's going to take more than one win at this point for me.
All right. That's going to do it for this episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. For the members of NewOrleans.Football, we're going to keep it rolling into overtime. For everybody else, sign up for the site, and you can listen to overtime next time.